Sudan activists say soldier killed during raid on sit-in. Cairo. Sudanese security forces attempted to break up an anti-government sit-in outside the military headquarters in the capital on Monday, setting off clashes in which a soldier was killed while trying to protect protesters, activists said. Thousands of people rallied in front of the compound over the weekend in one of the biggest demonstrations since protests erupted in December calling for President Omar al-Bashir to step down. The protesters said security forces have used tear gas, rubber bullets, and live fire to try to disperse the protesters, according to the Sudanese Professionals Association, which is spearheading the demonstrations. The Sudan doctor, the medical group, said another man died elsewhere in Khartoum after being beaten and tortured by security forces. Footage posted online by activists showed soldiers in uniform moving peacefully among the protesters, raising the possibility that some troops were intervening to halt the violence. During the 2011, it was unclear whether such a scenario was underway in Sudan, where media access to the demonstrations has been heavily restricted. There was no immediate. Protesters said security forces in pickups, mostly from the feared National Intelligence and Security Service, attacked the sit-in early Monday, firing tear gas, rubber bullets, and live ammunition. Activist Amal El-Zian said soldiers guarding the compound stood by at first, but then moved in to chase the security forces away, firing in the air. Another activist said security forces later repeated their attempt to break up the sit-in, forcing protesters to seek shelter in a nearby Navy facility. He said the protests were initially sparked by price hikes and shortages, but quickly escalated into calls for the resignation of al-Bashir, who seized power in 1989 in an Islamist-backed military coup. The protesters al-Bashir has refused calls to step down and has appointed military officers to senior posts in an apparent attempt to close ranks. He has also the protests gained momentum last week after Algeria's President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, in power for 20 years, resigned in response to weeks of similar protests.
Raindrops, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,